Welcome, agents, to a special episode of Behind the Scanner. Your hosts for tonight are Andrew Krug from Arlington, Virginia, and Jorge Pedrero from Mexico City. Our special guest tonight is Ethan Lepouttre from Niantic Labs. Welcome to the show. The Q&A tool is enabled for tonight's broadcast. Submit your questions throughout the show, and we'll ask as many as time allows. If you know someone who would make a great guest, submit their information to us at bit.ly/BTS_guest. Finally, you can watch past episodes and subscribe to our channel at youtube.com/behindthescanner. And now, your hosts of Behind the Scanner.
Well, good evening, agents. Well, this is late. Today is late. It's a different day from the regular show. So welcome to a special episode of Behind the Scanner with NL 1331. Oh my God, here is Ethan with us.
Welcome to the show, man. How's it going?
Hey, it's going well. How are you guys?
Can't complain. Thank you for taking time out of probably your only day off in the next week or so. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Let's just kind of jump right into it because I know you probably want to get to sleep. You just rolled into your hotel room.
Yeah.
So let's hit the ground running. I think over the last year or so that I've gotten to know you, I think knowing your demeanor and who you are and the fact that you wear sandals and flip-flops everywhere, people might be surprised that you're actually from Ohio. So
Yeah.
what brought you to Ohio from Oregon? Or what brought you to Oregon from Ohio?
Right. Well, and so I was born in Mansfield, Ohio, which is just a little town kind of in the middle of between Cleveland and Columbus, and so there's not really a whole lot going on there. It's kind of just a small city with a lot of farm around it. And so I went to school there, then I went down to the University of Cincinnati and graduated. And I kind of just was kind of over Ohio a little bit. Not that it's a bad place to be. It's just I'd been there for a while, and I wanted to go see what was new. So I actually went to California first and started in San Francisco and then moved up to Petaluma before I found my way up to Oregon. And I had friends up in Oregon that I would visit from San Francisco pretty consistently, and I just really fell in love with Portland. And that was about 12 years ago that I moved up to Portland. I just kind of one day I was up visiting some friends in Portland and decided I didn't want to go back to California, so I had all my stuff shipped up to Portland, and I just got an apartment in Portland and started there. So but it's a great city, and so it was an easy choice to make for sure.
I love the city. I love going up there. And for the record, it's Oregon, not Oregon, right? Was that?
Right.
Don't say Oregon, because you'll get in trouble when you go up there.
Yeah, the locals it's a big deal to the locals.
Well, something else is actually kind of a big deal and relevant. Actually, our lovely announcer Kelly Colton might find this next tidbit a little bit interesting. Is that back in the day, you were quite the baller. In fact, your basketball skills is what I'm referring to. You played basketball in high school, and you played and guarded against a guy that is now in the NBA Finals right now by the name of LeBron James. So what was that like? Do you have any stories about that? And do you still think you can dunk after all these years?
I really couldn't dunk in the first place. So no, I probably can't dunk now for sure. And so yeah, I did play against LeBron James. I think I was a junior in high school, I want to say, and I went to a private Catholic school in Mansfield called Mansfield St. Peter's. And LeBron James lives about an hour north, or I lived about an hour north, and went to a private Catholic school. I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, like Akron, Canton, Central Catholic or something like that. And so the Catholic schools play each other in Ohio in certain leagues. And so we had to play him. I hadn't heard of him before, and so we were driving up there, and my dad goes, "Hey," and so mind you, I mean, I'm a junior in high school, so you're right, not really like responsive to authority. And so my dad's like, "Hey, you better watch out for this kid, LeBron James. I hear he's pretty good." And I mean, I'm like 14, and I'm like, "Whatever, Dad. How good can he be? Like, we're private Catholic schools. Like, we're just a bunch of skinny like 14-year-olds." And so we go, and he was really like, it was really surprising. He was like the same size as me. He was like 6'1", maybe weighed like 140 or 150 pounds. He really wasn't very big at the time, but he could jump through the roof, and so he just really kind of tore me apart. I think I scored like 6 points, and he scored like 38. So it wasn't really a competition at all. And so that was my experience with LeBron James. And as you can see, he's gone on to do great things in the basketball world. So there's a reason for that.
To be fair, though, I think you got it pretty good too. I don't.
Right? Yeah, I'm definitely not complaining.
Both of you are traveling around the country, going to new cities every single day, you know. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good gig for sure.
Well, Ethan, when we announced this special show, people heard about it and they went crazy, man, and they sent us a lot of questions, and I'm asking you, are you willing to answer some of them? Because they're pretty good.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so let's start with the question from our own host, Kel Colton. How many pair of flip-flops or sandals do you bring on the road with you?
um, 1 to 2 pairs. And so usually I take 2 pairs with me in case one pair breaks. Sometimes my luggage is too heavy, so I'll keep a pair out. And then I just kind of run the risk that they're going to make it. But then that's what Amazon's for. And so just get a new pair of flip-flops shipped to the hotel. So usually it's just 1 pair, sometimes 2. Depends. I've got my dress sandals, so you got to have like the nice pair, and then you got your casual flip-flop.
Okay. Well, we have another question from Maximilian Hung. I hope that's the correct pronunciation. And wants to know, how did you first encounter Ingress, and what were your first impressions?
How did I first encounter Ingress?
Yeah.
Yeah, so in March-ish of 2013, a friend of mine was on Facebook, and he goes by Agent Schuerman, and he had posted on Facebook that he had an invite to Ingress. And I saw the post, and I didn't know anything about Ingress, so I kind of ignored it. And the next day, I was just kind of flipping through Facebook, and I saw the post was still there, and nobody had responded. And I was like, well, I wonder what that's all about. And so I shot him a quick message asking him for the invite to Ingress. And he got back to me and sent me the invite. And I downloaded the app, but I did not enter my invite yet. I didn't open up the app. I just downloaded it. And he sent me with the first question he asked me was, what color are you going? And my response was, I had no idea there were colors. And so he told me, hint, go blue. And so I didn't really know what he meant at the time, not having had opened up Ingress. And then he also told me where to start in the city. And so I didn't know what that meant either. And so I was like, yeah, whatever, dude. I'll just go home and I'll open this up when I get home and enter the invite. And so I got home and I opened it up and I saw what he meant about going to Resistance and Enlightened. And I was like, okay, well, he told me to go blue, so I'll go blue. And so I went blue. And then I looked around on the screen. I didn't really see much. And it made sense because it was the very early days of Ingress. It had only been around for maybe 4 or 5 months at the time. And so the portal population really is nothing like what it is right now. And so I didn't see very much. And so I didn't understand the whole concept of moving and things like that. And so I was like, I wonder what he wants me to start at the park blocks for. And so I jumped in the car and I fired it up, and I noticed that my arrow started following me wherever I went. And so I was like, okay, I got that part down. I think this is a GPS-based game. And so then I get to the park blocks, and there's probably like a cluster of like 12 or 14 portals there. And I was like, okay, now I understand like why you want me to start in the park blocks. And so basically for the first like 3 weeks of my Ingress career, I lived in the park blocks and played Ingress in the park blocks all day long and well into the evening. And so that's kind of how it started for me. And that's kind of how it started for sure.
It's quite interesting that your first steps on Ingress was on a car, you know? Start Ingress driving.
Well, I have a good excuse. So I own a courier company up in Portland. And so I was looking at it when I was working. And so I was just kind of tooling around the city, kind of running from one place to the next when I opened it up and figured it out, you know. So not all of my ingressing is via car.
Okay.
Also a little bit of foreshadowing there because you're getting paid essentially to play, and now you're also getting paid to play. It works out nice.
Right. It's worked out well.
All right, we got a question from Emilio Acacio. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. We're probably going to do that all night long. I apologize in advance for butchering people's names. But Emilio wants to know, what's the meaning of the name November Lima 1331?
So that's a tricky question to answer. And so you have the very basic meaning of November Lima and then 1331. And then you have its underlying meaning of like Niantic Labs and the Hank Johnson life cycle of 1331. But, you know, those two things together really don't make a lot of sense to the normal person. There's a much deeper underlying meaning to that. And, well, I'd love to discuss that. I really can't, unfortunately. And so you're just going to have to go with the very basic meaning of Niantic Labs 1331.
Oh, no, man.
More to come on that later.
Come on.
To be continued, huh?
You have to say it, or we end this interview right now.
There's certain aspects of the job I can't really discuss.
Okay. Another drink for the guy.
What's that?
Another drink for you.
Yeah, right.
So, well, we have another question from, this time from Daniel Baudon. How did you make the transition from agent to employee?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. That's not an easy one to answer. It was, well, there's definitely a learning curve involved there. I mean, you go from strictly being an agent and having your faction in mind. Maybe there's cross-faction relations within your community that you care about, but, you know, for the most part, you're dedicated to your faction. And so when I was hired, I had to kind of figure out how to put that aside. And so it's not really that hard, to be honest. And so when you're traveling around and you're doing these cross-faction meetups, it's really easy to view everybody as just an individual Ingress agent. Faction really doesn't play much of a role in the cross-faction events for me. Maybe it does for players. But, you know, my goal is to go out there and hold a successful cross-faction event. And so it's not really a matter of whether you're green or blue. It's just a matter of whether you will attend and partake in the social aspect of the game. And so I think once I got going and once I realized what exactly the job was, it was pretty easy to make that transition. You know, of course, there is a learning curve. You make mistakes and stuff like that, but you learn from your mistakes. And so as you go, you get better at it. And I'd like to think by the time I'm done, I have it down pretty good. But, you know, there's something new every day that you learn. And so you just keep on going and you figure it out as you go. There's really no handbook for being a good Niantic employee and being a good agent. So you kind of just make it up.
Was it something that, did they approach you? Did you approach them? How did the actual handoff, how did you get hired, I guess?
Did who approach me? Niantic?
Yeah. I think the question is more geared toward, like, how did you go from being an agent to actually working for them?
Oh, yeah. That was pretty easy. Well, it's kind of weird at the same time. So I was doing a lot of stuff on the West Coast, and I was doing anomalies in San Francisco. I did the same clue in Portland, the 13 Magnus in Seattle as well, and LA Recursion down in LA, and I would just keep running into the Niantic employees. And it wasn't a thing where I was like trying to be their friend or anything like that, but over time you just keep meeting people and you eventually will remember their names. And so I think the time where my face stuck as memory was when I was down in LA and I met my boss down there and he liked my sandals. And so we had a conversation down there. It didn't really consist of much, but he took notice of my sandals, and he took notice that I wore those at the anomalies and walked around all day in sandals, in miles on end during these anomalies in just a pair of sandals, which isn't really that big of a deal. And so, I mean, we met each other down in LA, and it wasn't really a thing. And I went back to Portland, and I was there for 2 weeks. And then I got a G+ message from my boss, who wasn't my boss at the time, but would be, asking for my phone number. And when I was down in LA, I stayed with my friend Linda Besh in her hotel room in the Westin as part of the whole Elite V event that they were doing. And so she threw a big party in the Westin, and the Westin people got mad at us, so we had to move the party up to her hotel room. And I had figured out the combination to the safe and hid a bunch of beer in the safe. And so usually they charge you a deposit for using the safe. And so at first I thought maybe he was sending me a G+ message asking for my phone number so he could get mad at me about putting beer in the Westin safe. And then I kind of thought about it, and I was like, that's kind of ridiculous. Like, who would bother to go through all that effort to get a hold of somebody about a $50 safe deposit at the Westin? And so I was just going to send him my email, and I was like, well, let him yell at me through email. And then at the last minute, I was like, well, I'll give him my phone number. And so I sent him my phone number, and like an hour, maybe 2 hours later, he called me and kind of started going over like what they had in mind with November Lima and kind of what would be involved with that. And so it kind of took me by surprise because I wasn't really looking for a job at the time. I had work up in Portland, and so I really actually had to sit and think about it. And so I took a day to think on it, and the more that I thought about it, the more interested I became. The opportunity to travel around just doesn't really present itself that often, and the opportunity to travel around doing something that you really like doesn't present itself that often. And so the more that sank in, the more I got really excited about the job. And so I called back the next day and told them I wanted it, and I had to go through the normal application process. I think there was other people that they interviewed for the job, and I think I got kind of persistent there towards the end about giving me a decision on whether they were going to have me do it or not. And eventually they got back to me and gave me the job. And then like 2 weeks later, they had me on a plane down to Phoenix and threw me in this van and gave me a list of cities I was going to go to and kind of just told me to do it. And so I started, my first city I ever did was Tucson, Arizona, and I had no clue what I was doing. And so I started figuring it out pretty quick after that, but that was a real wild experience for sure, to just be at home in Portland kind of minding your own business to 3 weeks later you're on a plane down to Phoenix to go ride around in this most amazing vehicle known as NL1331.
Definitely a baptism by fire.
Right. And so, yeah, I was a little nervous when there was nobody there to really guide me in my first meetups. But you get through a couple of them, then you kind of get this routine down, and then you just kind of get going, and it becomes like this thing that you just do. So.
Well, you're definitely very good at it. So it was meant to happen. I don't know.
Yeah, and they're awesome. They're so much fun to do. I really enjoy doing them for sure.
Well, speaking of being on the road, Jonathan Fitzwater, Agent Fitz, wants to know, when you're on the road, do you play any traditional road games like I Spy or Punch Buggy? Do you guys have any sing-alongs or anything like that?
No, not really. We had the radio, and we listened to the radio until the radio broke about 2 months ago. So we haven't had the radio.
Wow.
No, and so our GPS system broke and the radio broke, and so we're the driver and I are forced to entertain ourselves with conversation, which could be worse. It's actually pretty entertaining sometimes.
XM overload, huh?
No traditional run. Yeah, I don't really want to punch the driver like in a slug bug kind of thing because he works for a different company. Like I don't really want to like assault him, like have him come back and sue us.
Well, there's also the fact that he's
I'm
driving
kidding.
too.
I'm
So
kidding, by the way.
prob-
Right, I'm kidding, by the way. I don't would really expect him to sue me.
Well, Mario Valenzuela is asking, what was the strangest thing that happened, or something that you saw while driving the van?
Um, so I don't know. Well, I mean, there's like nothing that's like really too crazy. Like everything's been pretty standard out there. I mean, you have your odd incident or two, and it kind of stands out, but like it's nothing like I haven't seen anything really that crazy. I mean, we were driving, and I've told this before to some people. We were driving out of Reno, and we were on our way to I don't remember, to be honest. Uh, San Francisco, yeah. So we were driving out of Reno to San Francisco, and we only got like 20 miles outside of Reno, and uh, this cop pulls us over, and we're not doing anything. We're driving a giant land yacht, and so it can't really speed. And so we're really confused of why he pulled us over. And I was on the phone with the office at the time, and it was something really important on the phone, and I couldn't break away. And I kept trying to break away, and I kept not being able to break away. And so, in the process of trying to get off the phone, I mean, the cop is already at my window. And so I'm telling my boss, I'm like, hey, I got to get off the phone. Like, there's a sheriff at my window, and I look at the sheriff and I like hold out my hand and I'm just like 1 second, please, just 1 second, I'll be right there. And so I don't know how good of an idea it is to tell like the sheriff like, well, hold on, I'm on the phone, like a minute. And so I did anyways. He was like, no, it's cool, and he like holds up his phone, and he is an agent too. And so he really had just pulled us over to tell us that he was an agent, and he wanted to see the van and stuff, which is awesome. But you maybe don't have to pull us over with your lights and stuff to do that. It's so we're talking to him, and
Wow.
he's just kind of telling us about how he lives in the area, and he found Ingress, and he really likes playing Ingress and stuff like that. And so I'm like, okay, that's really cool. And so it's starting to drag on, and we actually need to get going. And I don't really know how to tell him that we need to get going. And so he gets a call on the radio, and I can't really hear it. And he stops and he listens to it, and he turns around and I'm like, oh, did something happen? And he's like, oh yeah, there's a dead body down the road. And he stops and kind of thinks about it, and he's like, well, they're not getting any deader. And so he just continues talking about Ingress and about how much he loves the game. I was like, what? Did you just say they're not getting any deader, so you're not gonna go? You're not gonna go? You're like gonna stay here and hang out? And so he stuck around for a couple more minutes. And at that point, I was just like, well, I was like, you got a dead body to go to. We've got to get to San Francisco, so maybe now is a good time for us to start heading out. And he's like, kind of like, yeah, okay, I'll go check that out. And so that's the strangest interaction I think we've had for sure. The one that sticks out the most definitely.
XM definitely.
You should say to him, maybe it's Hank Johnson, man. Go for it,
buddy. yeah, right outside of Reno.
XM definitely influences people in weird ways. That's bizarre.
Right.
All right. Let's see. We've got a person who only goes by one name, Filberto, I guess. Like Cher, it's just for Filberto. He wants to know, are there any plans? Okay, so this is a popular one. There was probably about, of the over 500 questions, maybe 100 of them geared to this single one. So I had to pick one. Are there any plans for NL expansion to go to Europe or Asia? Is there ever going to be an NL 1332, 33, anything like that? Although we know it's tied to Hank Johnson, but going outside the U.S.
Yeah. So that's a complicated question to answer. It's so currently, no. There is nothing on the schedule to go anywhere else with NL 1331 in any form, whether it be a van or car or anything else. However, that doesn't mean that that is out of the realm of possibility. This is something that a long time ago I kind of proposed that, and it got shut down pretty quick a long time ago. I think that the demand, though, since then has increased exponentially for for November Lima outside of the U.S. So I don't think that it's out of the realm of possibility. I think there's some things that need to be worked out. It probably wouldn't manifest itself over in Europe the same way that it has here with a Mercedes van. It would probably be in a different form, a reincarnation of the November Lima van in some other way. I'm not really sure what that would be yet, but I think that it can happen. It really can happen. It just needs to, the atmosphere needs to be there, and I think it's getting there. And we need to have a serious talk back in the office about stuff like that, if there's an interest in it. And so
there's probably a whole bunch of logistical stuff too.
Yeah, and so it's a lot harder than just like flying over there and throwing the van in the plane and then just landing and jumping out and then driving off and going on and carrying on like it's here in the States. I mean, for us to get there, it's not that big of a deal. But there's there's how long can we be gone from the States at a time traveling? The van definitely can't go. I mean, it's a 24-foot RV. It's not going to really work in the downtown streets of London and Amsterdam and Prague and places like that. It's just too big. So what would be an acceptable alternative option that would make sense? The crossing over from country to country to country, dealing with currencies. I mean, you have the euro, but not everybody's using the euro over there, and so you have to do those exchange rates. And then you have like things like the technical side of that, like cell phone data, etc. And so it's a little more complicated.
Too,
What's that?
The customs too, though. I mean, if you guys are going to be carrying swag or giving stuff like that, or
customs is easy. I mean, this when you're just carrying promotional items, that's not like a thing that really will slow you down too much if it's not an insane amount of that kind of stuff. Like what wouldn't be anything that we would have to worry about. It would be if we had like merchandise or something. I think we would want to worry a little more about customs, because that wouldn't make much sense for us to even do that. But and so it's a little more on the technical side, I think, is where the real setback is on getting that stuff going over in Europe. I think that we don't really have any idea of what it would take quite yet to do that, and so I think you need to give us a little time to work on that before we can even consider that. I mean, you have to remember that November Lima was something that manifested itself for the Elite V, to take the Elite V from San Francisco down to LA Recursion. And then we just kind of were like, well, we've got this thing. Let's do some meetups with it, and let's just see how that goes. We never expected this phenomenon. Yeah, I mean, I guess it really is. It's like this phenomenon of like these meetups and all these people from all over like showing up to these like live action meetups where it's not really the norm in the gamosphere. And so we weren't thinking it's that big yet, and so you got to let us catch up a little bit and get our feet underneath of us and see where we can go from here.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe you can. Sorry, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say there's very few, I think, vehicles, in pop culture. You've got Kit from Knight Rider and just a few others.
Yeah,
so and
the DeLorean and stuff like that. Right. The 18 van. I mean, there's a couple weird ones out there.
I think you can go to Europe doing like a November Lima backpack version,
Nah, I don't know, man. The travel is hard. Like, you might be able to do that for a little bit, but it'll catch up to you pretty quick. I mean, a meetup seems pretty easy, but when you get down to the brass tacks of it, they're exhausting. Like, they'll catch up with you pretty quick, and if you don't have if you're not traveling in a good situation, you'll find that your energy slowly runs out, and you never really get it back. And so you got to do it right. Definitely don't want to push
Well,
yourself too hard.
then I have a better idea. You know that it's easier to drive down here to Mexico. You know that, man?
Yeah. Yeah. You guys are just a hop, skip, and a jump away from us. I mean, I live in Portland. It's like, what, 15 hours down there? It's so easy. But then,
That's
I
just
don't
the
know.
border, though.
And it makes me nervous to drive this like real super expensive van down there sometimes. But I mean, there's some great places down in Mexico that I definitely don't want to ignore. But again, there are some logistical things. Like, it definitely, like, there's a different insurance down there. We can't take our insurance over there and stuff like that. And so that's the kind of stuff that we have to be able to budget for. And so we'll get it worked out sometime.
Well, we can do a big party for you, man,
Yeah.
if you decide to come here. So
Well, you've got there's a lot going on down there. I met a couple of G plus communities down there, and I've seen some really cool things happening. So
yeah,
I'd like to come down.
okay.
Maybe not with the band.
Well,
Maybe it'll just be myself.
you'll be very welcome. And the next question is from Thomas Arteaga. How did you feel the first time the band hit the streets to go to your first meetup?
Yeah, so that was when I flew into Phoenix, and that's where I caught up with the van. And so it was just a couple hour drive from Phoenix to Tucson, and I think I had the night off that night, and then I started the next day. And so when I first got into the van, I was really aware that I was in this 24-foot Mercedes-Benz giant spy van thing rolling down the street, and so it was a new surroundings. New surroundings, you got to get used to that, and so it was kind of unreal. I knew what I was going to do, but you don't really realize what you're doing until you're in there and you're doing it. And so it took a little while for that kind of surreal feeling to kind of wear off a little bit, and to kind of get down to, like, this is what I'm doing and how to do and doing it right and stuff like that. And no longer it wasn't an excuse to just be some new guy traveling around in the van and stuff. So yeah.
Interesting. Well, Michael Mattel wants to know, since you're so immersed in the game, because you spend most of your time, with Ingress on a
Right.
daily basis, almost literally your every waking moment, what do you do when you want to take a vacation?
Um, well, it depends. And so I like to travel. I mean, I already do that for work, and so that's one thing. But I like to really travel. Like, I like to go on vacation. And I was just in China I was only in China for 2 days, but I was in Bangkok for like 9 or 10 days. So that's what I did as soon as the Pasadena anomaly was over, I flew over to Bangkok. And so I spent just under 2 weeks there and came home for a couple of days before I started again. But, and that's not the only thing. I love to go home. I love my house, and I love my bed, and I love my roommate, and I love my friends in Portland. And so I like to go. I like to go to really cool places and visit and see other cultures and see what else everybody else has to offer. But I also like to go home and relax. There was a long time there when I was kind of getting my feet underneath me during these events that when I'd get my week off, I would go home and I would just hang out. And that would be what I would do. I wouldn't really open up my scanner too much. I would just relax, watch some Netflix or some Hulu, and just be a bum and do a little bit of work at home, on my computer. It's easy to. Most of my work is telecommuting, and so that was pretty easy. But as I got kind of used to it, I kind of figured out how to manage my time a little bit better. And so I go home and maybe the first day or two I catch up on a little bit of sleep and do a little bit of that loafing around type thing. And then you kind of get back into the groove of being home, and I go out and I play Ingress. I meet up with my my friends that don't play Ingress, catch up with my community of people in Portland that I don't get to see for 3 weeks. And so I try to focus on that a little bit, and sometimes I'll methodically play Ingress for 8 or 9 hours in a day on vacation. And so that's really what I like to do. And hang out and just relax. And so if I'm not going to go somewhere exotic and kind of do that thing, then I'll go home and just be a bum, so to speak.
Okay, so the next question is related with the last one. When you finish with your vacations, Jen Roberts asked, if you didn't have the coolest job ever already, what else would you rather be doing?
I don't know. That's a really good question. I would like to continue doing a job where I can continue to travel and be social with people, whether it be one thing or another. And so those are two things that I really do like to do. And I don't know really what that equates to as a career. I'm sure there's something out there, somebody else willing to pay me to fly around the cities and hang out and talk to people. And so that's probably where I'd be. And I'll figure that out maybe someday in the future.
Pretty cool. That interaction with the people and the communities is kind of addictive, don't you think?
Right. No, and so that's probably one of the things that I really love the most about it is the interaction with the agents at the cross-faction meetups. It's new and different every day, and so it doesn't really ever get old. You go from city to city, and it's a new city, it's a new backdrop, it's new agents, and so it's like having a different office every day, which is awesome. And even when you go back to the same city twice, there's new agents, and some agents have moved on, and some agents have stepped up into other leadership roles and positions. And so even the same city twice takes on a new dynamic, and so it's not the same city twice even then. So yeah, I really do like that part of it, probably the most.
All right, let's see here. Karen Brown wants to know, we've all seen pics of NL 1331, but I don't think that we've seen the inside of it. So what are the cool features inside the van, she asks.
Right, and so there's a reason why you haven't seen pics of the inside of the van, because you're not really allowed. And so with that being said, I can't, since you're not really allowed to see what's in the van, I can't just tell you what's in the van. Is kind of the same thing. It's an XM data collection vehicle, and that's what we do. We do data collection on XM. We ask the questions about XM, scientifically speaking, that need to be answered. Like why does XM exist? That's what we do. That's what we're out there for. So, but we can't tell you what we're using to answer those questions for sure. That's definitely classified.
So the equipment in the van also would probably add to the problems of getting it overseas and going to other countries as well, I would imagine, right?
Right, and so, well, yeah, we'll probably once we have to get rid of the vehicle, that thing's got to be destroyed.
Which is probably why your radio died too in your GPS.
Right, and so yeah, that was a civilian radio, and so it makes sense. And so I don't know what it would take to get the stuff that we need to get over to Europe. Nothing short of the hand of God to get that kind of stuff over there. Maybe we can find some of what we need, but I think we need a few people helping us out, and so that's not cheap either, and it's also very serious business. So I don't know. Can't really tell you much more about that.
Europe has also jacuzzis, you know?
What's that?
In Europe, you can find jacuzzis too.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I said something classified.
I can't comment.
Okay. Well, then comment on this. Chris Rodenberg asked, how many miles have been put on the November Lima?
Um, I don't know. We're sitting at like 52,000. I got the van with about four on it, and so we put about 47,000 miles on the van in 14, 15 months. So we're really getting around all right.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
impressive.
right.
It's a Mercedes, so it'll keep on going. You throw
Well,
another.
it's a diesel, so it's got a long life to it.
All right, let's see here. Speaking of long life, you know what, Jorge? Because we randomly picked these questions, we've got a duplicate in here. So why don't you ask number 14? We're gonna skip 13.
Okay, then Ryan Fain, I guess. What is your favorite restaurant to eat at while on the road? When you are on the road.
Um, yeah, I don't know. We don't really have one. We eat at so many different places. Our meetups are usually at different restaurants every night for dinner, and so I mean, um, I think probably our go-to is like Chick-fil-A. It's like an easy lunch to keep rolling, so we don't waste a lot of time. But as far as restaurants go, like I don't really have one for sure. Um, I'm trying to think, and I can't really come up with one off the top of my head that I would have to go to. We're sushi fans though, so if you can find us a sushi restaurant, we'll be all over that.
You don't get enough sushi out in Portland? I imagine that's probably pretty fresh stuff and good out there.
Yeah, yeah. There's an excellent sushi scene, and there's an excellent food scene in Portland in general. So if you want to really talk food, you got to go out there and check that place out.
Yeah, when I was out there, they had there's this area that's just filled with food trucks, right?
Yeah, the food cart pods. There's all kinds of those. They're all over the place out there, and so it's like this thing that when I first moved to Portland, there was a few of them downtown, and then it just kind of became this phenomenon. And now everywhere you look, like there's these parking lots with food carts, and they've done some really cool things with these things, and so people are making gourmet foods out of them, getting national acclaim for the food that they're making out of a food cart. So go figure.
Yeah.
One of my favorite macaroni and cheeses comes from the food cart, just down the street from my house.
Nice. Yeah, that was good food there, right there, pretty
Yeah,
much every day.
yeah.
All right, let's get a little bit more personal since we're all tech geeks here. We've got a question from I'm an agent. Very, very clever with the spelling. I'm an agent. Okay. They want to know basically what kind of equipment do you use to play the game with? Is it a smartphone, a tablet, and what brand?
Um, so I have a tablet. I hate it, and so I don't really use it. And I'd rather not talk about that tablet because it's the bane of my existence. But I have a Samsung Galaxy Edge, the S6 that I'm using right now. And that has by far been the best phone that I've ever had when it comes to playing Ingress. This thing's amazing. I'll go with that any day of the week. The notes are pretty good. If I was gonna do another option, it would probably be the Samsung Note. But I'm a Samsung honk, so whatever you ask me, I'll probably just tell you Samsung. So.
Fair enough.
Well, this is a really, really cool question. Julian Barrier says, if the NL1331 bus could travel through time and space, where would you like to go, man?
Whoa. Yeah, I don't know. Through time and space? Yeah. Uh, I got to think about that. It's easy to say you want to go back to like the Roman Empire or anything, but that place, I mean, that's a rough time. Uh, it's not quite all fun and games. It's not like Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, for sure. Um, and so, uh, I'm Yeah, I would like to go back to the creation of the Earth. I would like to see, actually, no, honestly, and this is the truth. I would like to see exactly how the moon was made. And so I would go back to that point in time and space to witness that event. And that would be where I'd want to be.
That is really cool.
That is cool. My kids watch a show called Uncle Grandpa. They've got an RV that travels around as well. You can go all sorts of places.
Yeah.
Uncle Ethan, I think we're going to start calling you. Going through time and space to witness the moon. I like that. That's good. All right, so a serious question we've got now. This will probably be the most serious one we've got of the night from Stuart Semple. He wants to know, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Okay. Yeah, I'll answer that. Here we go. Okay, so it's not just, I don't think it's as simple as like, would you rather? I got a couple of questions.
Okay.
Um, so like with the duck, is it is it just there? Does it know we're fighting? Like, is it a serious thing? Like, is the duck aggressive? Does it just keep coming at me, or is
I
it
would
just like,
imagine.
is it just there
No,
and it doesn't know we're fighting?
no, I think it knows you're fighting.
Okay, it knows we're fighting. Okay, so that's a big deal. And so the same goes with the duck-sized horses. Are the duck-sized horses just roaming around? Or are they like
No,
aggressive? Are they aggressive?
it's like gladiator deathmatch. They know you guys are pitted against each other.
So they're aggressive horses. And so
Yes.
then my next question is that um, do the horses work together, or are all the horses trying to be individual heroes? Because if they're trying to be heroes, I think I can start to section, or I can start to quarantine horses one at a time and take them out. And so I think I could get through 100 horses.
I think it's more pack mentality or herd
Is,
mentality. So they'll be
well,
running together,
yeah,
but not really
I
coordinated.
don't. Well, well then, like, I don't know how I feel about killing 100 duck-sized horses. Is this a fight to the death? What are we killing? Or do we have to kill? What are we doing here?
You know what? That wasn't the question, but let's assume so because there's no way to get out of it without it coming to a
Nah,
conclusion.
yeah.
So
I'm not gonna kill. I'm not gonna kill 100 duck-sized horses. I'll go after the duck, the horse-sized duck.
the horse-sized duck.
Yeah, there's some practical uses to the duck after the
Yeah.
fight.
That's
So I'll
true
go with
too.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like we just had a Google interview. Is that usually how things go? Is that? All right. I don't know how. Yeah, good question. That was an answer that went on much longer than I anticipated. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Jorge. Oh, he dropped off.
Oh, we lost him. We
Every
lost
time we
him.
have somebody from Niantic or the story or somebody important on, we always have these glitches. So, all right. Let's just move on here. Oh, Felipe Sarbio wants to know, what is the greatest story you have ever heard from agents? So is there any story that an agent has relayed to you that has really stuck out in your mind?
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of great stories out there. I don't know that it's fair to say one's better than the other. I mean, there's a lot of stories about people that have used Ingress to lose weight, have used Ingress to rehab through an injury or some degenerative disease. There's a lot of kids that have used Ingress as a teaching tool for kids and stuff like that. And I mean, I guess the one that's probably the freshest on my memory is the whole Wheels to the Max fundraising thing that's been going on with the wheelchair. And I know that they've been present at the Pasadena Anomaly in a couple of our meetups in California. They had representation out in Washington D.C. And it's been great to see the people donating for that cause. And I mean, it's for a new wheelchair, and they're not cheap, and so a lot of people have spent a lot of time making swag, donating swag. A lot of people have put up a lot of money into the whole thing, and so I think that's probably one of the more memorable, at least freshest memories that I can think of right now, for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. The community it's just impressive. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's great to see what people are willing to get together and do, all in the cause of charity, or just for the sheer reason of wanting to do something right.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. I just while you were talking, I shared my screen of the Wheels to the Max website.
Oh,
It's
cool.
just
Cool.
wheelstothemax.org. So if you're
Yeah,
interested in
good people.
donating,
Help those guys out if you're so inclined.
yeah. All right, let's see here. Tamer Oz, he's got a question, or she, I guess, I'm not really sure. How do you define your game strategy? Are you a destroyer, a builder, or a defender?
Um, so I think when I first started, I was more of a destroyer. I took a lot of pleasure in taking down links and fields and green farms, and my stats reflect that with almost double the amount of resonators destroyed as resonators deployed. But I think that as time has gone on, I have picked up a little more pleasure in linking and fielding and rebuilding. I used to hate being the one to have to respond to the destruction of a farm and to be the first on the scene. I have to start from scratch or take down all the portals and start from scratch. I much would rather be the person that is putting the last of the eights on. Maybe that's a little selfish, but at least a hack in high sevens or something like that. But I don't know. As time goes on, I've taken a lot of joy out of the linking and fielding game and putting farms back together. Kind of that if you build it, they will come thing. And it's amazing how that works.
Yeah, definitely. Giant beacon.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I'm back, and there's a question from Irie Isa, I guess. Do you think a detection algorithm is to be trusted?
Uh, well, that's probably more of a matter. Yeah. Yeah, it's a matter of opinion. And the fact is the matter is I don't know. I don't think anybody honestly knows. Um, and it's hard to pass judgment without having a good reason to. And so, well, I worry about some of the things that have come from Ada and some of her actions and attitude. Um, I don't know. I can't answer that. I really can't. I think that more information is needed before you can accurately say she's to be trusted or not to be trusted. But then, it's kind of a catch-22. You wait for that information, and then you may be too late. And so uh, I don't know that there's a good answer for that.
I think your answer is a good answer. Yeah. We don't have all the information yet.
Right, right. I think you gotta, I don't. If there's not one thing that we learned in this, is that the story changes. Things are not always what they appear to be, and so you may think that she's to be trusted now and not to be trusted later, and that could go on for the next year, and you could flip flop 4 or 5 different times, and then still not be right in the end. So let's hold on. Let's hold on and see what happens.
Yeah, the world around you is not what it seems, right?
Right. Yeah.
All right. So, okay, here's a recent question, I guess. You posted to Google Plus recently about a smartwatch, and this one's going to give me trouble. Panka Tegua Pranata, hopefully I'm close, wants to know, did you actually get a smartwatch?
No, I haven't bought one. Everybody scared me away. Everybody said, wait for the Moto 360 second generation. And that sounded like really sound advice. I mean, second generation is generally better than the first gen stuff. So I did a little research on that, and I expect it out pretty soon. So I think if it's a matter of me waiting a couple of weeks, maybe even a month or so, I can probably do that. But if it's gonna just drag on and be this thing, I'm gonna go with something else. I don't want to wait forever. So it hasn't happened yet, but It is 100% for sure thing that it will happen soon.
As somebody who actually has the Moto 360, and I think I replied on your post,
You did.
It's a great companion product. There's a couple of quirks to it though, but I think they'll have those all ironed out by the
Right,
same
and
time.
that's really all I need it to be. I don't need it to be my main device or anything like that. I just needed it to take a load off my phone for a little bit every here and there.
Okay, so we have Tanya Walsh. If you could only eat one flavor of ice cream for the flavor would that be?
Um, yeah, I like the butter pecan ice cream. That's really my jam. I could eat a whole gallon of that in one sitting if I'm allowed to. Um, yeah, I'd probably stick with that, or something that just kind of has withstood the time. Like vanilla. Like, why would you want to go with some like orange peel flavored ice cream that you've got to eat for the rest of your life? Go with something that's go with something that has made it the last 300. I don't know how old is ice cream. A couple hundred years old at least. So vanilla's been around for a couple hundred years. Butterscotch, not really. Butter pecan or whatever, but same general thing. Traditional.
That's all right. That's good. I think I'm partial to the Ben and Jerry's, the American Dream. That's
Oh,
Oh
I
yeah.
forgot all about Ben and Jerry's. Like the cookie dough ice cream. That's so good.
oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
unbelievable. I didn't realize that was kind of. I forgot that was an option. Yeah, I'd like to change my answer to the cookie dough ice cream from Ben and
Cherry
Jerry's.
Garcia.
Yeah, for sure.
Just don't try to cook the cookie. Don't take the cookie dough out and try to
I
cook
don't
it.
think it doesn't work like that, does it?
No,
Have you
no,
tried that?
no. But I've seen pictures and posts online where people have. Yeah, it doesn't work out. Not even close.
Well, now I kind of want to. I gotta look it up. I kind of want to know what happens.
Actually, you know what? I didn't think of it till just now. So my kid really likes to cook. We bought him an easy bake oven, and they have these cookies you can make, and that's kind of what it turned out to. It's this flat,
What are they
thin.
like? Little hockey pucks?
No, the opposite. It's really thin, but yet really hard, and it's just nasty all around.
Yeah.
And I've got a picture of it on my G Plus profile somewhere. I'll show you
Oh,
afterwards. It's
that
terrible.
makes sense.
So, yeah.
Well, good to
Anyway,
know. Thanks for the warning.
not a problem. Um, this is from FR Nico. He said that you just got Platinum Explorer about a month ago. Are you aiming for Onyx since you do a lot of driving? And how long do you think it'll take you to reach the 30,000 unique portal visits?
No, I am not aiming for platinum on unique portal visits. What is that number? It's like something astronomical, like 25,000. I just hit 10,000. Like that took me like 2 years to do. And so add another 15,000 on it. Where we're looking at like what, like 6 years, 7 years before I hit. I don't think so. Um, I'm gonna keep doing what I do. My gameplay, I got platinum just because it happened. The places I travel, the portals I've hit, it just works like that. I'm not gonna go out of my way to do it. Uh, I'm gonna just keep playing like I play, and if it happens, it happens, and that's amazing. And if it doesn't happen, I'm not gonna get too upset about that.
I think it's 30,000, right?
Is it really? Is it that much?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it shows how much I know.
Yeah, I had to look it up. So while you were talking, I just Googled it. So
Where this one is from Asit Lijanash. I hope that's the pronunciation. Where there's some, sorry. Again, what are there some unforgettable memories with the November Lima?
What are some of the unforgettable memories with November Lima?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so I think maybe a better question is like, what are some of my more unforgettable memories traveling in November Lima? not with November Lima. We don't really share a lot of amazing memories, but there has been a lot of amazing things that have happened because of November Lima. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is, so I had to be in Santa Fe for the Santa Fe Anomaly, May 10th of 2014, and that was my birthday. And Hank Johnson bought all my drinks for my birthday. Well, the majority of my drinks for my birthday. And so that was one of my most memorable moments, was being able to go hang out with Hank Johnson in Santa Fe, and this guy like force feeding me Jameson throughout the night. And so that was a really good one. You know, another great memory would be down in New Orleans, hanging out with Susanna Moyer doing karaoke on Bourbon Street after their Darsana anomaly, and the trouble that we get into after those anomalies and stuff like that. Those are the memories that I hold on to, because they're just kind of, you know, they're so unreal. There's something that I never thought would be something that I got to experience. And then here I am doing these things, and I know that a lot of people would love to be in my shoes, and so those are the things that I really appreciate doing. And, you know, I got to meet Dana Snyder, Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and have drinks with him at Magic City Comic Con in Miami. And so those are the things that I think that really stick out above all the other things. Not that there aren't a lot of other things that are equally as memorable.
Well, so when you're driving along and you're just trying to kill time, do you play any other games on your phone? Do you play any other games in general? At home, do you have like a Xbox or anything?
Yeah. So I'm a Steam gamer at home. So I like to do computer gaming. We have an Xbox. We got a PS4, and I kind of bounce around between all three of them depending on the game I'm playing. I was on the Xbox for Borderlands 2, and then I moved over to Steam for the new Borderlands that just came out, and I've doing some kind of MMO stuff on Steam. One of the things that I'm really stuck on right now is this Russian game called Star Conflict, and I mean, it's just it's nothing crazy. It's really simple. It's a great graphics engine, and it looks really sharp, and it's just, you know, piloting spaceships and getting into dogfights with other spaceships and running missions with other people, you know, similar to an Ingress style thing, but not at all the same. So
I have resisted installing that game and playing it because
man, dude, dude, I don't want to brag about this, but I'm ranked 2,000 out of 650,000 people. I crushed that game.
I know so many people that play it, and yeah, the graphics look amazing.
Yeah, it's real sharp. I mean, and so when you get down to it, it's pretty flimsy. There's not a lot going on. Once you figure out like what's going on, there's not a lot of variety to it, and so it's one of those games where you pick up, you play it hard for a little bit, you put it down, you forget about it, and then you just kind of pick it up every here and there and kind of just go along with it, and whenever it piques your fancy.
Okay, Andrew, you cheated on last question. You didn't say the name of the...
Oh, you're right, I didn't. Hold on. It is from, Irene Kukubulut. So I'm going to say that now. Now you get to say the next name.
Yeah, you saved the best ones for the last questions. This one is from Mukahit Kasiki, or something like that. Sorry, guys, for butchering your names, but well. What was your reaction when you saw the NL1331 for the first time? Mostly inside. No, that's from me.
Yeah, that's so long ago. That was like 14 months ago. So I mean, it came to pick me up at the airport, and so how about that for a ride from the airport?
Wow.
Yeah, And so I really didn't explore the inside of it for a day or so because I landed in the evening and we took off. So it was dark. I didn't really climb around back there or anything. I just kind of threw my luggage in and we went. It wasn't until the next day where I really got to kind of look around in there and I was just like, wow, this is pretty nice. A guy could get used to this. And so that's really where I was at with that.
I'm just picturing that right now. The van pulling up in front of like.
Well, it's like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like I like pull up in this plane that had wicker lawn furniture for seats, and like I go out, and then there's like this like most amazing vehicle, and it's like a mansion compared to my Nissan Altima at home. So yeah.
And no captain's chairs in the Nissan Altima, I bet.
No, definitely not. Yeah, not much going on with that thing at all, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, it's the reason why we're actually pronouncing everybody's name is because everybody who submitted a question that gets their question on the air, you actually automatically get an NL1331 badge. We're then going to do a random drawing for anybody else that submitted a question. Just going to do a random drawing, and if your name gets selected, we'll let you know in a private post and give you the code to redeem for the badge. If you don't get a private post from us, you didn't win anything. So you can keep asking, but if you don't see anything, you didn't win. So let's move on. Kunal Guatam? Guntam? This is kind of fun. Let's see how much we can just crush people's names and insult them. All right, Kunal wants to know if you were to choose another vehicle as the NL1331, which vehicle would it be?
You don't even need to finish that question. I'm still all over that. I am rocking the Tesla, man. I am all over that thing.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, so nice. Yeah, there you have it.
Nice big screen too, the middle console. You can have
NL1332 Tesla 2015. So let's get that going.
There you go. Uh-oh. Did we lose Jorge again?
Yeah, I think he's
Yeah, that's what you want.
He's frozen.
Uh-oh. I'm telling you, we're good until we have the Niantic folks on, or somebody involved with the story or something important, and then Ada comes and tries to help us. Oh.
I think he's almost got it. No.
Now?
I think you're staying at the same hotel that's right next door to Ethan. It's probably leeching off your Wi-Fi.
Hey,
oh, you're almost there, dude.
So close, so close. We'll give you like another 5 seconds. Oh no. All right. We'll move on here. We're almost at the end of these. So first off, thank you, by the way, for agreeing to answer all these questions.
Yeah.
We put a limit on it, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just 5 or 6 left. So, all right. Joanne Jones wants to know, what is the coolest piece of swag that you've been gifted on your visits to different cities, and the strangest?
Yeah. And so I have a lot of swag. I've been given a lot of swag over the last 14 months. I don't know if I would call any one swag is particularly cooler than some of the others that I hold in high regard. I'm a big fan of the challenge coins. I have a bunch of those, and so those are the ones that I like the most. And I'm also a fanatic of collecting the patches. So I have a big collection of the patches. Like those are the ones that I go after. If you're holding patches, watch out, I'm on it. I'll be right there asking what you've got in your hand. But I got a 3D cutout, a 3D print of a portal key. And I forgot I had that until I was looking through my stuff the other day. And I really like that, actually. I think I would have to say that probably is my most favorite piece of swag that I've been given. Some are more sentimental than that, but that one's the coolest for sure. I don't know. Like, I'm not given a lot of strange things. I mean, I was given a string of like 20 bracelets that were blue and green, just to have. And so normally, like, I'll get one or two, but like just to have a strand of 20 was a weird thing to give me. Not that I don't appreciate it, but I mean, there was a lot of them, and so I didn't know what to do with those. And so yesterday, I don't know. I'm not even going to talk about what I was given yesterday. We'll just continue on to the next question. We're not going to get into that.
All right, fair enough. So Layla Johnson wants to know, what badge would you like to see added?
Mm, you know, I have to think about that. I don't know that I want to see more badges added. I like badges just as much as the next person, but maybe we should take a break on that for a little bit. It's just a personal opinion. I have a lot of them, and they all mean something, and so I like that the badges have value in what you do. And so I'm not sure that I want to see another one added just yet. So I don't know what that would be.
That's fair. That's fair. I think from doing behind the scanner, the thing that comes up frequently is destroyed mind units. You can capture them, but destroying how many mind units was attached to a field or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, those are all available options, and so I wouldn't be surprised one day if you see stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's other ones out there. I mean, destroyed mine units. Like, you get one for you don't get one for destroying links, right? That's not a thing.
Not a badge.
Um, yeah, and so you have those available options and stuff like that. And so, I mean, there's oh, there's a variety that can still be added to the game that would serve a purpose.
I think he's back. He's joined us.
You there?
Can you hear us, Jorge?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right,
Yeah.
there you go. Excellent.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. It's all yours.
Share my screen with the November Lima inside, and I think somebody hacked me or something like that.
Yeah, you can't.
So
You can't be shown on the inside of November Lima.
What?
yeah, I have a pic from the November Lima insides.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have it.
I wouldn't worry too
Really?
much about. I wouldn't worry too much about what you've seen on the inside of the van.
There's a pic.
Yeah. That's not. It's actually pretty close. Wow. Who got that?
I told you I got my inside, guys.
Nice.
So, being serious, Mavaro Harley asked, since the ban runs on and collects XM for long distances, have you noticed any side effects of prolonged XM exposure?
No, and so I think that the common misconception is that we're collecting massive amounts of XM, and that's just not the case. Everything that we collect is on a very small scale. It doesn't take much, and so everything. I mean, it's all done with a scientific protocol in mind, and so everything that's collected and stored within the vehicle is done very professionally. And so there's not a lot of, it's like think of the van as like some kind of a nuclear storage facility. It's not a lot of contamination just hanging out in the van. We got to ride in there too, so we want to keep a clean and sterile atmosphere.
So it's almost like the Ghostbusters containment unit. They're going to live there and also contain.
Yeah, I mean, and so we do a lot of on-site work, and so I mean that's why we go to these cities and why we go to these anomalies and stuff is because there's an unusual amount of XM collection at a specific time and place, and so we go to these places for that investigation. It just so happens to work out that we can fit in kind of like this thing where we could do meetups and stuff like that. But I mean, like our real job is data collection, and so we're out there doing that too. And so we're trying to figure it out.
Again, I think you guys got to figure it out. We're close to it. Doing a good job.
Yeah.
All right. So we got 2 last questions for you. The first one, you got to love the randomly selected questions. From Remy O. Wants to know, why did the chicken cross the road?
I would assume that he had business to attend to on the other side of the street. There's a purpose. He had to go do something.
I would imagine so.
Not November Lima.
Maybe. All right, so we're going to let you out of here with this last question.
Okay. Bring it on.
Joachim Mueller wants to know, what do you like most about Ingress?
So there's probably 2 things that I like most about Ingress. The first would probably be the social aspect of it. I think we kind of went over that earlier about how much this game makes people go out and interact with their surroundings and the people around them, and how it gets people to come out and hang out with other people when they wouldn't normally do that in any other circumstance. And so I think I get to see it firsthand almost every day when I go do these cross-faction events, and 150 people or 100 people, or it doesn't really matter how many, 60 people show up, but it's almost the entirety of the community, and so that is really amazing, to be honest. I don't know many games where that happens, and so I think that is probably my most favorite part of the game, is seeing the social interaction among so many people from so many walks of life, with so many different styles and tastes, for the most part living in harmony. And so that's really fun. And I think the second part would be probably traveling. The game lends itself to a person who likes to travel, so maybe people who weren't normally used to traveling are doing that. I mean, when I first started and I started traveling to Seattle and I went down to San Francisco and LA, I wasn't doing a whole lot of traveling at the time. I've done a lot of traveling altogether, but I was just kind of hanging out in Portland doing my thing. And then along comes this game, and they're doing this big event down in LA, and they're doing this big event in San Francisco, or for you other people out there, they're all over the place and they tend to be pretty close. And so you have the option to go and visit another city, and you have these people that you you don't know them already, you kind of already do. So you have like a community that you could go visit, and that's another cool aspect of it as well. So I think those would be the 2 big things for me.
Very well said. Very well said. Well, that's all we got, man. I appreciate it. Thank you immensely. Thank you, viewers, for submitting your questions. I know you were probably on the road for like 10 hours today, and you got another 7 hours to go tomorrow. So.
Yeah, it's been a long couple of days. It's almost time for the PDX anomaly. I'll be looking forward to getting home for that. I'm really stoked about that, actually. So.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, it's the final one, right? The finale.
Yeah. I mean, I assume that most of your listeners know about the anomalies, but I mean, PDX isn't the only one going on. There's satellite sites in Milwaukee. PDX would be the big one. So, I mean, if you're Portland, I keep saying PDX, Portland, Oregon would be the big one. I mean, if you're in the neighborhood, or if you're going to be in that area, you should check it out. It is And if you haven't checked it out before, don't be shy. Come on in. Everybody's really friendly. And so, yeah, if you have never been to a primary anomaly or even a satellite anomaly, I highly recommend them. They're like nothing else.
And I gotta say, I think we scored a couple more shards, but then you guys scored a few more yesterday, and so the score.
Yeah, what I see,
really
what is
close.
it, 6-3 or something like that?
Yeah, I think the overall score is
6-3
close. So
Enlightened?
everybody is going to count. I mean, if you're on the fence, if you're near a place, I would highly
Yeah.
recommend going to one of these.
It's really true. And so, I mean, it's not only, you don't just have to participate at an anomaly or a satellite site. There's connected cells. There's lots of other ways you could contribute and still have an effect on these anomalies in some fashion. So get involved, get in touch with your local leadership and see if there's anything that you can do or if there's anything coming up.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, sir. I think that's it. So I appreciate you taking the time out and chatting with us for a little bit.
Sweet. All right, guys.
Jorge,
It was a pleasure talking to everybody.
I'd let Jorge say goodbye, but I think Jorge is gone.
Yeah. Well, no, he's gone. He's done.
He's calling in. So,
And I'm
all
out.
right, guys.
I'm out too. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Catch you later.
See ya.
Thank you.